Yeah, exactly. Can you just wake him up? Thank you.
Secretly.
You've become more than your fear. Let that protect you. The Empire cannot win.
So you're not only an actor on this series, you're also an executive producer.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about what that work entails. Is it mostly story conversations with Tony? Are you thinking about the look of the show as well? What is your work on Andor when you're not playing Cassian?
It's a good question because it has changed. I think at the beginning it was just like it just made complete sense because I had to be here from the beginning, and I knew I was gonna be here till the end, right? And there's no way just to get involved as an actor and wait for scripts and directors and everyone to be on board and ready to go. I received a call and this was more than 6 years ago, I believe, like 7, saying, "Would you be interested in exploring this possibility?" And I think since that day I became an EP, because I said yes. Obviously, I was very excited, but I was part of the shaping it. And I was there and spoke to Tony the first time he gave me a call and said, like, look, this is what I have in mind, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to pitch, and I'm not gonna pitch it if you're not 100% in. If you don't like this, tell me. That way I can let someone else get involved. And he pitched me exactly what we're doing today. But anyway, like, what I'm trying to say is that I had to be an EP because I don't see myself getting involved for so many years in something that I cannot have a word, that I cannot question, and that I cannot accompany through the whole process. I believe that structurally the show works this way. It's like film, the films I love as audience, where we serve a point of view, we have a clear perspective and point of view that we all follow, which is Tony's. He's the leader, he writes, he has the idea, and then everyone else around becomes a tool. We're all helping this perspective, this point of view, and we're all there just to, like, elevate what he puts in the table, in any possible way. I think Tony obviously is the first producer because he's again he's in every part of the process. Then he has Kathleen Kennedy on top, making sure he gets all he needs, and that everything around him understands what he is there to do. She's the one providing the freedom we need to execute this show. She's the one thinking ahead, also on when it's to come and on a second season or not. Then he has the producer that does the most of the work on the show, the one that can only be doing one show, which is Sana. And Sana takes care of the machine and puts together the machine and makes sure it works and is there, monitoring this machine every day, to see what needs help, change, working on the office and the everyday, visiting set, but also visiting pre-production and post-production. You have to understand that it's a machine that is working in many things at the same time. It's not like film where you work in each process by itself. Here, everything has to be happening at the same time. And then there's my position, which is, I guess, the guy on set, where Tony is not, where Sana is in and out, but never, 24/7, and where Kathleen Kennedy just comes visit once in a while. So I'm the one on set making sure his vision is persists, is explained to everyone. The people I have more work to do is the newcomers, the day players. I'm there as a link to Sana, Tony, or Kathy, and it took me time to find out that that was exactly what it was needed from me, you know. And then I pay a lot of attention on how the show comes out. What do we do after?
Yeah.
You know, I sit down in those long conversations where we hear the ideas of the whole team from Disney and Lucas in terms of how to put it out there, what to do, what not to do. But I like the process, the moment when I'm supposed to be that link to Tony or to Sana with what's happening on set, and the eyes they have on set. You know, when something is not working, you know, your perspective matters because you're the one witnessing from an horizontal level. You know.
Yes, you're on the ground and you have that sort of global vision of where the show
I
is
know,
going.
I know. I was pitched at the beginning,
Right.
the show has to end this way. You know, when we were half the way of shooting season one, um, we were finally, we were one of the first shows that was shooting, well, the pandemic, you know, with tons of restrictions. But one day we were allowed to get out of the studio and go to Scotland. Scotland was almost closed. It was starting to open, and we were there in a beautiful place called Pitlochry. And Tony came to visit. Kathy was coming 2 days after to visit set, and Tony was there, and we were in a hotel in Pitlochry, as he says, having a scotch quite early in the morning. or quite early for a scotch, not but we were having a scotch and discussing what are we gonna do. You know, we promised to do 5 seasons, each season a year, and this was gonna be 5 years before Rogue One, and the idea from the beginning was to end the moment Rogue One starts. And sitting there after a year and a half of working on that first season and not even close to be done, we said, this is impossible. Like 5 seasons, I mean, I'm gonna be almost 60, you know, and yeah, so impossible, right? Impossible. And he said, look, I thought of an idea, which is make 4 blocks as we are doing, but you know, take 1 block for each year. And when he said that, you know, he was like, wow, yes, man. I mean, that's the way we can deliver what we promise, and we can make sure till the very last day we're happy to come to work, excited to do this and be part of this and proud of what we're doing. And Kathleen came 2 days later. We went for dinner with Sana, and we talked about this idea, and the 4 of us were we were happy with the solution Tony came up with, and that's why I spoke about the freedom at the beginning. It was very nice that we actually, as a team, believed that the show deserved that, you know, deserved that opportunity to actually tell the whole story, but still have a beginning and an end, like films have, you know. But just because I don't want to miss this idea, I think that's what makes this show different. You know, what we've been asked every time is what actually where the answer is. You know, is because we know the ending, and TV today normally doesn't. You know, and I think that makes shows. Sometimes it can make shows weak. You know, when you're just thinking
Stretched
about,
a little thin.
yeah, what next, what can happen next, and what can happen next, and it brings an anxiety, you know, of not knowing where you're heading. You're not knowing what the objective is, you know, where do you have to land. And we always knew that landing moment, you know, and in fact the ending was already shot, which is Rogue One.
It's exciting, and it's such a fine needle to thread to know exactly where you're going and to have us care about it every step of the way. And so I think the jumps are exciting because we sort of see Cassian growing closer and closer to who he's going to become, but every experience, every problem matters on its own.
But because I think Tony had a responsibility already when we had this conversation, which is like all these amazing characters he created for season 1. they needed an ending, you know. They needed an arc. We needed to get somewhere with all of them, you know, because it's called Andor, but it's, I mean, come on, it's clearly an ensemble piece where it's about a community, it's about a revolution on both sides of this equation, and characters from both sides are important. And he had created, yeah, uh, very interesting roles that needed a time and a trajectory, you know.
Can I ask a little bit, speaking of community, in the first season, we spend a lot of time on Ferrix, which has a deep personal connection for Cassian. And he is much more of a stranger in the communities that he goes to in season 2. In terms of the scale of the production and in terms of how you are thinking about the character, like, how was Ghorman in comparison to Ferrix?
I think it's very different because of the because of what the structure proposes, you know, and how the show starts. We are already in the first block of this story. We already see the life of uh, these spies that are pretending to be someone else, you know, where they belong, what represents them, what you can consider their context is taken away from them, you know, and they're on the run. That's how we meet Biggs, Brasso, Cassian, obviously Luthen, everyone on this side, right, is on the run. So I think this second season has a different commitment with the planets and the communities we present. You know, we introduce, but with Ghorman, it's important because of the weight it has in our story. It's important to go deeper, you know, and get to understand community there, get to understand the social climate of Ghorman is crucial for this season. All this investment is done, you know, in terms of storytelling. Well, we spend a lot of time in multiple episodes in this place. In terms of design and building, Luke, I mean, did a whole like city, a whole plaza, like a and created a whole system, you know, of society interacting and commerce happening, you know, and in terms of characters, you also meet a very interesting community of characters that have their own language, that have their own, yeah, business and commerce happening. And that's what I love about this show, that and the format that allows us to actually be go deep and be patient and witness reality, you know, witness everyday's life of people.
The show, I think, does such a great job of contrasting, like, the richness of cultures and of that everyday life with sort of the static void of culture that is the Empire.
Well,
And
because something has to be in like on the line, you know, when you see them destroying Ferrix that way, when you see them coming in and you see Ferrix reacting, and you see, you understand the need for a fight, for a good fight, you know, you understand the need for rebellion, for an awakening. You can back up an awakening because you get it, right? And that's the trick of his writing, you know. His writing gives you all of those that sometimes you go like, why are we seeing this? Oh, because you'll remember this moment when this is in danger, you know. You'll remember this moment when this character can't have another moment like that, because this this part of freedom has been taken away from him. This choice he could make once in his life is not there for him to make anymore. Therefore it matters, you know. But patiently, his writing shows you all those little details, moments, and then you go like, well, wouldn't you fight for that? And you understand, you know.
what's so wonderful about it, and so wonderful about that patience is, I'm thinking about the conversation that Cassian and Luthen have when he gets off of Ghorman, of just like, there are different ways that this could go. There are different ways to do this. One of the things that's so exciting in seeing sort of the birth of the rebellion in Andor is all of these different warring perspectives, and the rebellion kind of needs all of them.
Well, it's different factions, right?
Yeah.
And that's the complexity of a revolution.
Yeah.
It's impossible to think as a one thing that kind of like operates understanding each other. In fact, that is the problem many times. That it's not like that. That you can start the fight wanting the same, but not necessarily at the end you'll arrive with the same needs. And also what you prioritize on the process, and clearly Cassian starts to build his own understanding of a rebellion, his own agenda, and his moral standards. I believe this second season is pretty much about love. It is about the love stories that you find in these communities. And it's because you wouldn't fight for a revolution if it wasn't for love. There has to be that romantic aspect. There's a very romantic and naive thing around a revolution, because often you see that on the process, the questioning starts to happen. There's no time to question a revolution because it never happens, right? You commit, and you find out on the way many things, that probably on the other side are well resolved.
I'm curious, just like in terms of practically being on set, how you rehearse, do coverage, figure out how to be comfortable and natural in those spaces. Like I'm just thinking about Cassian and Bix's safe house. You guys move through that as though you've been there 5 or 6 times already by the time you have some downtime. And I'm curious, just sort of like how you get situated.
Well, that's our job, right? To make sure you do buy that kind of like that sense of reality, that sense of everyday's life.
But is it like interacting with the props? Is it just conversations with your scene
It's
partner?
It changes in each block because each director comes with its own like needs and dynamics, and obviously there's something we are always we're always looking for, which is that time to discuss, to contrast ideas, to question the material. And here we had to fill the blank spaces, all the time jump. There was a need before we went on shooting of discussing with directors what happened, what are these kind of like things we need to know, or we need to come up with. That was important. But then the sets are built before we need them, and there's always an opportunity for rehearsal to happen. The most simple one, which is the first block,
Yeah.
The cockpit of this
Of the
TIE
TIE fighter,
fighter, this prototype comes in, and Luke is there, Tony is there, the director is there, and myself, and Ari is the director of that one. And Luke is explaining to us how everything works, because there is a logic behind everything. And then the technicians that know exactly how it operates, start to show me, and I start pulling and pushing buttons, and things happen, and and grabbing the controls, and what is this panel for, and this other for this and that. And then because we discuss the scene, we say like, what if this panel, instead of being so far away here, we put it here? That way it'll serve this camera position. And the guys go like, yeah, we can do that or not. So there's a whole process, and this happened like 3-4 days before we went on shooting that. So by the moment we're sitting in that cockpit, I know what I'm doing. They know how to shoot it, and we know how to get the best out of the piece of design and show it to the people. So the chair coming up, the arms, approaching. When is that gonna happen? There's a
It's a
rhythm.
dance. Yeah.
It's a dance, and for that dance, there's like 4 or 5 people, dancing with me, and we're on a gimbal, and the gimbal, I mean, you turn left and it goes left, you turn right and goes right, down, up. If you get hit, it shakes. If it falls, it crashes. You have all of those moves, and so we discuss the shooting and the order of the shooting, and it becomes very technical. And so it's not me playing, and pretending and just pushing things and improvising. There's a dance. With the safe house, for example. Yes, I mean, I gotta be cooking, right? I gotta understand how things work there, and there's a moment for this, and Sana also made it very easy for us performers to actually have access to this. So each of the actors would ask for something. I had a lot of rehearsal time with Adria, with Stellan, the Ghorman Plaza. I mean, we did a walkthrough before, and understand what's where and how to get the best out of it. Not everything builds for at the same time. So sometimes you have to picture things that will happen later, and they come and they explain, and you see the drawings, and it's fascinating, and you can get as deep as you want and answer as much as you want, because ask as much as you want, because there is answers. Everything has an answer. I think it's interesting how Tony writes. Tony doesn't write a scene like just by himself, and then a production designer gets that material and designs something where that can actually happen. It's the other way around. They sit together, they design a place. They talk about how this, the cameras are going to be there, 2 microphones. It's not going to be a round table, it's going to be a square one. It's going to be da 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 da. So there's a drawing, and then he goes and writes for that space, so he can be specific about where you're gonna sit, where I am gonna sit, if my coffee is gonna be on my right or my left. Like, he pictures everything, and then he sits down and discuss that with a director, and gives all those tools to a director, so he can reimagine something that already works. And if you start with something that already works and exists, makes your life way more easy.
No, it lets you be free on the day.
Well, yeah, because then if you have an idea that makes this better, you can do it, but you have a starting point that actually works and is fine, and you don't have like a direction in the script that doesn't connect with the space you're in. And for him, it's really important. Like, the best example is Ferrix. Ferrix was in his head, in Tony's head. Like, he understood it perfectly before he started writing, because they designed Ferrix on a piece of paper. So when he wrote about a city, it's like if he was writing about New York. He knew exactly, what that plaza, what that street, what that alley, what that, like, where it was, and how easy it was to hide here or not, and if you had a good look of the hotel from this position or not. And it makes everything not just like easy, but it makes everything understandable. And our goal was to make you as audience forget that you are in a galaxy far, far away, and make you feel you're just witnessing reality in the life of people that you can relate with. Yeah, for us that was the goal. And this whole very close work he does with the production designer. It's crucial for this to be as realistic as a galaxy far, far away can be.